What's up, everyone? I have your astrology for the month of October. I am not going to sugarcoat this. The month of October has a lot of energy. It'll be really interesting to see how this energy transpires. I'm a little excited and I'm a little scared. That's probably not what you want to hear after the month of September, because as most of you probably noticed, the latter half of the month was pretty intense. We had Hurricane Fiona and Hurricane Ivan doing a lot of damage, as many of you already know, and that is thanks to Uranus in Taurus for sure. And we had a pretty intense month due to the retrograde. We had a lot of planets in retrograde, but I really think that Mercury retrograde really tipped it all off. So if you had an intense couple of weeks, if you're feeling stuck, unsettled, really just unsure of the direction of your life, take a deep breath. You're not alone in that feeling. September was a lot. So let's get into the month of October. The good news is we start the month off on October 2nd with Mercury stationing direct at 5:07 a.m., which I'm sure is like a huge sigh of relief to most people. Keep in mind that we are in the post-retrograde period until about October 16th, which means we'll still be processing what transpired over the last few weeks, so continue to take it slowly. That being said, the further we get away from that Mercury retrograde, the more clear our minds will become. It was not subtle at all. It was a lot. So just take a deep breath and know that it's now ending, and that over the next week or so, you should still start to feel a little bit less confused, and you'll start to feel a little bit better soon. The beginning part of the month, I would say, is a little bit lighter. A lot of energy happening in the latter half, so take it easy where you can. On October 6th, we have Mercury trine Pluto. This is a deep introspective transit. It can also be an obsessive nature, so a good time to constructively use this energy. Maybe applying your mental obsessions to research or study. So if you really need to get down to work, this is really good transit for that. Also really good time to look at your inner self and better understand yourself on a deeper level. So this is kind of like going beneath the surface. So maybe asking questions, being attracted to the mysteries of life, inner workings, and very much an invitation to go inward. On October 8th, we also have Pluto in Capricorn stationing direct at 5:55 p.m. So this is the planet of truth, transformation, death, rebirth, and it's finally stationing direct after 5 months in retrograde. So whenever a planet stations direct, it activates the energy of the planet. So remember that Pluto is the god of the underworld. It's the ruler of Scorpio. In Greek mythology, it's also like corresponds with the god of Hades. So it is very much the planet of like transformation and subconscious layers going beneath the surface. So of course, when this planet stations direct, those energies can be heightened. And so it's very much like a time for like renewal and rebirth. So Pluto represents ending. So it's kind of like maybe things have fallen away so that it's creating space for something new. So maybe there's a closure in our life or a closure collectively, but it's very much a time for like spiritual growth and rebirth. And of course, when it stations direct, things can kind of rise to the surface. So because it keeps things hidden, anything that was hidden, or maybe we're uncovering some truths and getting everything out in the open as Pluto stations direct. On October 9th, we have a full moon in Aries at 4:55 p.m. This is Eastern Standard Time. And the sun is also conjunct Venus, and the moon is also conjunct the asteroid Chiron. And Chiron is the wounded healer. October 9th, we also have Mars square Neptune. So lots of things happening under this full moon. Full moon in Aries can be intense because Aries energy is very direct. It gets everything kind of out in the open, but it also brings a healing quality to it with that aspect to Chiron. So With Mars square Neptune, it's very much like kind of like questioning yourself, life's intentions. Physical energy can be low, so try not to be too hard on yourself. Maybe just allow yourself to kind of just be and reflect, and try to avoid confrontations with others, especially with that fire energy of Aries, because it is direct, and it can bring up feelings of anger. Not that anger is a bad thing. I think anger is like a really, really incredible emotion that often is asked to be suppressed, which I hate. So it's very much like kind of like reminding you that you can feel anger, and you're allowed to feel anger. So try not to bury it, and allow yourself to transform that anger into motivation. So using that energy productively and allowing yourself to just like be in those feelings. Because Chiron is there, it provides a big opportunity for healing and growth. It's emotionally charged. There's a lot of passion there, and it's very much kind of like a moon that you want to surrender into. And the word surrender can feel very loaded, and it's sometimes used too often, but it's very much an opportunity to heal and like kind of just surrender into this space, into this energy. The last couple of weeks have been really challenging. September was a rough month. So just allow yourself to reflect on the last few weeks and kind of see where you're at. Like maybe you've reached a limit. Maybe you're feeling really low. Maybe you're reaching that breaking point, which I feel like collectively a lot of us are, because we're tired. We're burnt out, and we're just tired of the grind. So with Chiron there, that wounded healer, it's not necessarily asking us to like move past it, but it's kind of just like letting yourself feel those wounds, letting yourself feel that hurt, and seeing what you can let go of, because full moons are very much a time to let go. So what can you let go of? And how can you regain control and passion? And how can you find that desire to live your life the way you want to, basically? So using that very much as productively as you can, and letting yourself be in those feelings. This is the last full moon before eclipse season begins. So allow yourself to kind of just like be in it. And yeah, biggest word I have is like healing. And surrender. On October 10th, we have Mercury re-entering the sign of Libra. So just a reminder from last month, Mercury is the planet of communication, moving into the sign of harmonious and diplomatic Libra. So it can help in establishing balance in our interactions and in our affairs. Good time for negotiations. We can have passive aggressive tendencies because we might be avoiding confrontation. And we also might find it difficult to make decisions. On October 11th, we have the Sun trine Saturn. So this is an excellent opportunity to get to know yourself. It's a good day for work. It is a really good day if you need discipline and focus, because it allows you to get organized, and you have more of an ability to like make a schedule and make those adjustments to your routines. So yeah, look to the structures of your days, what works, what doesn't, and what changes can you make to allow your days to run more smoothly. On October 12th, we have Mercury opposing Jupiter, so this generally brings good feelings, optimism. Might want to exercise a little bit of caution, as we tend to overlook the finer details when Mercury is opposing Jupiter, because Jupiter's expansion and just wants to like go there for those big ideas, and Mercury gets kind of lost in the precision and attention to detail. So remain open to the ideas of others, and pay attention to those close details, even if it feels silly in the moment, and try not to develop an arrogant behavior or a self-righteous attitude. But generally, you should feel pretty good about yourself. On October 13th, we have Venus trine Saturn, so we can feel generally satisfied with our relationships under this transit. We're able to recognize that everybody is human, nobody's perfect, and it's a really good time to discuss any relationship problems if they're present at the moment. Financially speaking, because Venus rules finances, we are more conservative and concerned about protecting our resources. And it's a good transit for business matters and relationships, as we're able to be fair in all situations. On October 17th, we have the Sun trine Mars. So this allows a boost in our self-confidence and our enthusiasm. Excellent time to start new projects or develop new ideas. We are likely to have an increase in our confidence, overall initiative, and motivation. There's very much a strong desire to take action under this transit, so take advantage of that. October 19th, we have the Sun conjunct Venus. Really good time to get out and socialize. Brings feelings of love, peace, harmony, and beauty when these two meet up. And it brings a greater focus to our romantic relationships. Also really good to spark creativity, and brings a bit of a focus to our finances, again with Venus involved. Generally a pleasant transit. We should feel kind of warm, affectionate, and more social under this. On October 19th, we also have the Sun square Pluto. So this is kind of like reminding you to let go of old patterns. It's an invitation to invite positive, creative changes into your life. Authority figures can feel challenging at this time, so just keep that in mind. And there's a sense of strength on the horizon. On October 23rd, this is where we start to get into a lot of stuff happening all at once at the end of the month, so buckle up. October 23rd, Saturn in Aquarius stations direct at 12:07 a.m. Activated the energy of this planet. So Saturn, again, is structure. It is stability. It can feel limiting, restricting. It's hard lessons, and Saturn brings meaning to our world. So if you're thinking about like Jupiter expands, Saturn constricts. If you're looking at these traits, and it's also associated with the father figure. So the Saturn retrograde could have felt limiting or restricting. We could have been dealing with some hard lessons, but maybe those hard lessons provided us with the opportunity to learn and grow. Saturn gets a bad rep. I love Saturn. It's the difficult teacher, but the teacher that wants you to learn the lesson and wants you to be successful. So when Saturn stations direct, we're ready to move forward, and we're likely to feel more productive and ready for this next phase in our life. For those of you who have Saturn in Aquarius, that will be people born in 1962, 1963, 1964, and also those who were born 1991, 1992, 1993, and 1994. So you've all been going through your Saturn return, which typically lasts about 2.5 years. Saturn stationing direct means that it's actually starting to move away now. So it's starting, Saturn will move into the sign of Pisces in March 2023. So it's starting to finally like ease up. Anyone who's 18 degrees or lower in their Saturn, if you look at your chart, that means that you've probably already had your last pass, which is good for you. Those of you who have Saturn in Aquarius 18 degrees or higher, you're likely to get hit one more time in your Saturn return. But good news is it will be your last time. So if any of you know this, if you have a Saturn in Aquarius, you've been going through your Saturn return, the last couple of years have likely been stressful or a little bit more challenging. We're often faced with obstacles, and it's hard to feel like we're in control, basically. But I always like to say that our Saturn return is really like it's really when we kind of like step into our own and like we reach like adulthood and we start to take responsibility. So the good news is it's coming to an end. So once you have that last pass, you should start to feel a little bit lighter, and things will hopefully start to fall into place a little bit more. It really depends on how you handled the Saturn return. If you want to know more about your Saturn return, remember you can always book an astrology reading with me and we can dive a little bit deeper into that. Okay, moving on to the transit. So we have on October 23rd, we also have Venus entering Scorpio at 3:52 a.m. And this is the planet of love, beauty, self-worth, finances, and it's entering the sign of Scorpio, who is dark, brooding, and transformative. So of course, we can see a transformation in both our relationships as well as our finances. Venus is in detriment here, so it may cause some problems in creating like happy relationships and building financial security. Venus in Scorpio, though, does bring a lot of passion to our relationships, especially our romantic relationships. And when Venus is in Scorpio, we desperately need to access some like emotional depth, because like Scorpio likes to dig deep. It likes to get to like the good stuff. It doesn't mess around. Like it's like that sign where when it comes to romance and dating, it's like you feel like you're getting interrogated. It's like getting to the best questions, because it's like psychological and spiritual connection, and there's no skimming the surface wherever Scorpio is involved. So it's a very powerful energy, but it allows us to speak truthfully in our relationships. So we're moving beyond that like surface level conversation. It can be extreme, it can be intense, emotional, and passionate, and it's kind of that like all-consuming kind of love, like a go big or go home. So just be mindful of that energy if you're dating or if you're in a new relationship. On October 23rd, we also have the sun entering Scorpio. So we're entering Scorpio season. And Scorpio season brings a focus to our shadow selves. I have a love-hate relationship with Scorpio season, as I do have a Scorpio moon, so it's always a little intense for me, but I also really love that it's like intense and powerful and transformative, and allows us to kind of like get to the good stuff, get to like the cold hard truth. There's no sugarcoating when we enter Scorpio season. You may feel a little bit more emotional because it is a water sign, so it brings intense emotions and it strengthens our intuition. But we're able to kind of like explore our inner workings a little bit more. Might want to go a little bit more inward. We might also be a little bit more secretive or like and withholding information. We're not as likely to like open up when we're in Scorpio season. But it does allow you to get to know yourself a little bit more, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the messy. There's no shying away from Scorpio season. And to top it off, we have a solar eclipse in Scorpio on October 25th, coming in hot at 2 degrees at 6:49 a.m. And I'm predicting that this astrological event will be intense. Especially those of you who have strong placements in Scorpio or fixed signs. So that's Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus. It's going to be very powerful, and it's kind of bringing like swift shifts and flash opportunities, basically. So I always say that solar eclipses or eclipse season is very much a good time to kind of sit back and enjoy the ride and kind of see like what happens with this transit. It's not really a great time to take action. There's a surrender aspect to eclipses as well. And it's also meeting up with Venus and Uranus, which can make things unpredictable and sudden. But I always like to say that eclipses generally, if they bring surprises or unpredictable changes, it's usually happening for the greater good. So kind of like go into it with an open mind, and it might not necessarily be a change that you're welcoming, but it might be a necessary change. So it can be very confusing because we're not really sure where our future is headed, and it feels really unpredictable and unstable when eclipse season is around. So try not to weigh too heavily on what is happening, and allow yourself to kind of like lean into those Scorpio themes of like truth and depth and discomfort, and allow yourself to kind of just be in your feelings and see what transpires. That's my biggest advice here, is just kind of let yourself be in it. And then October 27th, we have Mercury trine Mars. So this is a good time for hard mental work, we usually have a little bit more energy and have the ability to tackle difficult problems. And it's an excellent transit for confident communication. And we likely have a stronger belief in ourselves. And we also have Mercury square Pluto, and this can lead to more deep thinking. It can also challenge our thinking, but potential to uncover secrets and wanting to uncover the truth. I did warn you that the end of the month was a lot. October 28th, we have Jupiter that's still in retrograde entering the sign of Pisces again. So remember that Jupiter was in Pisces for the beginning part of 2022. So from about the end, I feel like the end of December to about May, Jupiter was in Pisces, and then it ingressed into the sign of Aries, and now it's going to stay in the sign of Pisces until December 20th. So look to see what the themes were at the beginning half of the year and how you felt. We're likely to feel like certain themes, similar themes, because Jupiter's coming back in. Jupiter isn't going to be in Pisces for a while again, so just enjoy this ride. It brings us like hope, feelings of positivity, trusting what the future might hold, which I feel like we need, because lately I feel like that hope has kind of been lost. Jupiter's the planet of expansion and abundance and good luck. Just a reminder, take a look to see where Jupiter falls in your chart to see where these themes are going to take place for you. And lean into these feelings of compassion and spirituality and creativity and allow yourself to dream big. If you might have already remembered that at the beginning of the year things were a little bit more slow and dreamy. It might not have even felt like super motivating to get stuff done. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to transpire after Jupiter's been in Aries. Maybe we're more likely to take action on our dreams, or maybe this is an opportunity to kind of just slow down again and open yourself up to the magic and spiritual exploration. Yeah. Moving on. On October 29th, we have Mercury entering Scorpio. So remember that Scorpio can be secretive, so we might be more inclined to keep things to ourselves, especially when we're planning or when we're communicating. And there might be that more of like investigative nature, because remember, Scorpio likes to get to the truth, so it could be like obsessive and like digging deeper and like trying to solve problems that seem impossible, that's kind of thing, and it can be a little bit intense and transformative again. October 30th, we have Mars in Gemini stationing retrograde at 25 degrees. So anyone who has strong Gemini placements, you're likely to feel this retrograde the most, because it will likely tap into some of those planets, and Gemini risings as well are going to really feel this. So Mars is going to stay in the sign of Gemini for like 7 months. It's a lot. So basically the planet of Mars, it's the warrior. It's associated with war and aggression and action, sexuality, passion. And when Mars retrogrades, we can find ourselves kind of lacking motivation because Mars is so direct. When it stations retrograde, moving backwards, we can feel like we don't really know how to move forward, or it's taking a lot more energy to want to take action. So we can get easily frustrated and feel exhausted. And like the important thing about when Mars is retrograde, especially in the sign of Gemini, is because when Gemini is involved, we have a lot of energy and we have a lot of ideas, but it's really hard to focus and we can feel scattered and we risk burnout if we're taking on too much. So the biggest lesson here with Mars stationing retrograde in the sign of Gemini is to make sure that you're only taking on as much as you can handle and you're not burning yourself out. So don't say yes to things that you can't commit to. That includes like work, social engagements, all those things. Mars rules our physical energy, so it's likely to lower our physical energy when it's retrograde. make sure that you give yourself space to slow down and maybe like reassess your goals and reassess those dreams and projects and focus your energy on one thing at a time and looking to see like what requires your immediate attention now. And if it doesn't require your immediate attention, just put it off to the side and you can come back later. So just make sure that you're avoiding burnout. The end of the month is going to feel really intense because of the eclipse season, because of all those like major transits that are happening. And we're going to be in Scorpio season, and Scorpio season is always a little bit of like intense. And remember, it's transformative, and Scorpio represents death, rebirth, all those things. So we could see things literally fall away. But don't necessarily look at it as a bad thing, because it could be an opportunity for something new, making space for something that's more beneficial to you long term. Go easy on yourself this month. The astrology is a lot, and last month was a lot. So just make sure that you're giving yourself space to kind of heal and let go. That is your astrology for October. I know it's a lot. If you want to know more about your chart and how this is impacting you personally, I highly recommend booking an astrology reading. Because with eclipse season, it's such a good time to get an astrology reading, because you can kind of like figure out where you should be focusing your energy. Like, for example, Pisces rising, which is me, the eclipses are coming through my 9th and 3rd house. And I know that the eclipse is going to hit my moon directly at 2 degrees. So I'm like mentally and emotionally preparing for that. So knowing what's coming up just gives you a little bit of insight and allows you to find some clarity, and allows you to kind of like rest easy and know like, okay, like if it doesn't necessarily feel good right now, it will pass. There is an end. This isn't forever. And keep that in mind this month. If things feel unsettling or you feel emotionally charged and it's really, really daunting, just remind yourself that nothing lasts forever. I know that can be really hard when we're in the moment. So let yourself feel it, let yourself grieve it, and then allow yourself to move on. Hope you enjoyed your astrology of October. We will have a meditation video the following week. So enjoy. Have a great month, everyone.